welcome to the Beasts of the NFC East. I am your host, Sean Michael Gnitzcavich, with my co-host, Jeremy Goode. And Jeremy Goode, there's been some good this week. And for some people, there's some news that could be good, a.k.a. Giants fans, could also be terrible if you're a little whiner and just want to get a top pick, which, trust me, I do too. But listen, Washington tried to give us the cold shower, and it worked, but we got the W. All right. And as much as I watched like 5 college games this weekend scouting for the Giants' inevitable top pick, we won. The Giants ended up winning, and we moved from the 2nd pick in the draft right now to the 5th. But don't worry, this team is still miserable. We're not going to play the awful Washington Commanders every week, so there's a good chance we still end up with a top 2, top 3 pick. But we also got to watch the Panthers, the miserable Panthers who have the worst record, play the Cowboys, and I feel like they've already cemented that number 1 pick that they're going to give to the Bears anyways. So anything you want to get into before we hop into these games?
Yeah, I mean, anybody can go into Arrowhead on Monday Night Game and knock off Patrick Mahomes on Monday Night Football, but it's just good. It's good to see the New York Giants win their Super Bowl this year, and we're off to the races.
Yeah, okay. Listen, that was not my Super Bowl. That was a bowl. That was like our Pro Bowl, and I don't usually even watch the Pro Bowl. And trust me, like, it was fun to watch the Giants win and be happy and watch Tommy DeVito. But let's be real. The game of the week and the game of the season that everybody's been hyping up was just about as epic as it could have been. Although I like Jason Kelce said after the game, it wasn't the prettiest win.
No, it's one, and I know we'll start off with the Giants game, but I'll just add quickly. There's something about these defensive games with good teams that are really fun. It's always going to be ugly too, because it's like you have 2 top quarterbacks and they're not scoring. But at the same time, you look at the other side of the ball, and that's just like it's like a pitcher's duel kind of game in baseball terms. And like in a way, it's ugly, but in another way, it's still entertaining because it's low scoring and a close game. So it's interesting. Both you can see it both ways. But great game, and let's kick it off with the Giants.
Yeah. And the rain didn't help in that game too. But
no,
you guys need a rain game. It makes for good football aesthetic, you know?
No doubt.
I can't wait for a good snow game soon.
Any kind of weather game, yep.
All right, but yes, Tommy DeVito got the Giants jersey juiced at the FedEx Field, Washington Commanders Stadium, and the Giants come out with a win 31-19, much to the dismay of everybody who is looking at Drake May and Caleb Williams. But let's get into this win. I mean, we could talk about how, like, I guess we should preface, people who are rooting for the Giants lose, Giants fans in particular, I get it. I wanted to lose too. And guess what? Sam Howell had an opportunity to still beat us, and we would have still felt fulfilled because we played a great game. I think we already had 5 turnovers at that point. And then he decides to throw a duck to Isaiah Simmons, who seals it with a pick 6 and moves us from pick 2 to pick 5 in the draft. But the last time that this happened, where we went from where we were going to pick Chase Young, this was 2019 going into the 2020 draft, and the season was over. I'm pretty sure we already fired Pat Shurmur. I'm pretty sure they already fired Jay Gruden for the Commanders. That was the year that they were going into Ron Rivera. And we were just looking for, like, you want to have those competitive losses. I didn't actually watch that game too, because I got free tickets to a Titans game. I was like, you know what, season's over. But Daniel Jones went off for 5 touchdowns that game, and that kind of got us excited. Like, you got to see some positive. And we lost the Chase Young Bowl, but then we got Andrew Thomas, which, like, you know, like, maybe we lose the number 2 pick and we don't get Drake May, and maybe guess what? Drake May is a bust, and then we end up getting Maserati Marv. I mean, it's like there's no reason to just hold on to this. Like, you have to have the top. Like, I'll tell you what. It's nice getting to watch competent Giants football and exciting Giants football. Like, yes, you can say it's against the Commanders, which I think you do have to say, because although, like, the Eagles didn't have this good of a defensive performance on Sam Howell, the Giants were able to pull it off. So that is exciting. Anything you want to get into, Jeremy? Any
Yeah.
notes from the start of this?
Yeah, just you mentioned it. Whenever Sam Howell plays any other team but the Eagles, he looks like Jamarcus Russell, and then when
Yeah.
it's the Eagles, he's Tom Brady. The Giants play Sam Howell correctly. They put their corners, not necessarily pressing receivers, but they play them up so Sam Howell can't have easy throws. I've said it before. To the 2 times I've seen him against the Eagles, if you give Sam Howell time to throw the ball, he can do a pretty good job, and they held him down pretty well. I thought this game, the Giants, their defense, I think their game plan is more aggressive than the Eagles. I do think the Eagles' defensive game plan works basically all the time. It is a little annoying that some things they do. Giants played smart defense, and I thought they ran the ball really well with Saquon. I think I don't think we're ever going to see the Saquon again, the Penn State Saquon, the rookie year Saquon, where he just was such a force. But averaging 6 yards a carry in this game, a little under 6 yards a carry, and being able to keep the Giants running game very productive, where it really hasn't been, in my opinion, all year. I think it's been okay-ish.
Well, let me cut you off, right? Because the thing is, Saquon Barkley had 0 yards going into the second half. Yes. 0 yards. I think, and the run game was just non-existent. So to keep Tommy DeVito essentially one-dimensional in the first half, and yet he still had 2 touchdown passes to Saquon in the first half.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think that one of them was to Darius. The other one was to Saquon later. But then Saquon was able to explode. Like, they didn't give up on the run despite their lack of success. Which is what you have to, like, Mike Kafka, who everybody had, there's already all these rumors. The Giants already decided to move on from Mike Kafka. Why would there be news out that the Giants decided to move on to Mike Kafka if he's not fired? If he's not, like, if they wanted to put out that they were moving on from him, they would have moved on from him. He played a good game.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that Brian Daboll, like, everybody was trying to get Brian Daboll to just, like, praise Tommy DeVito. He's like, yeah, he won. That's what he did. But it really was, like, Mike Kafka schemed up a lot of open receivers. Darius Slayton, before he got injured with his wrist, was, like, going off again for probably another 100-yard game. He'll probably lead the Giants in receiving for, the 5th time of his first 5 years here? And the 4th time. He only didn't lead 1 year, and I think that's the year that he got hurt. But he's been the Giants' leading receiver, like, 3 of his first 4 years. Yeah. But people were schemed open. Bellinger had a couple big plays. I still wish that Jalen Hyatt, like, that's like what I was talking about. Like, you want to see people kind of progress and look better. Like, Jalen Hyatt is who you want. Like, Darius Slayton played like we know Darius Slayton can play, but I still want to see that Jalen Hyatt emerge.
The only thing I'd say about Hyatt, and this hopefully will make you feel a little better. Mm-hmm. He's such a specific kind of receiver where he's so young. He's a rookie. They're not really working on his routes yet. They just like him for his downfield speed. It's tough to find some footing your first year. Maybe you'd want a little more action here and there. I think that the first year is always going to be a feeler, kind of like the way I feel about starting cornerbacks. Yeah. It's tough when they just give you a big speed downfield and you aren't able to develop their routes yet, just from my observations. But no doubt, you like to see, especially with Slayton going down. I don't know how serious the injury is, but
I think he was on the sideline clapping and cheering. I think it was just more so, just precautionary. Speaking of rookie cornerbacks, Deonte Banks honestly did not have a great game, despite, like, with Adoree Jackson out. We had people like Cordell Flott before he got ejected, forced a fumble early after having an interception last week. Darnay Holmes comes in, gets his 2nd interception in 2 weeks, which now leads all the Giants with 2 interceptions.
Might lead all the Eagles, honestly, too, at this point.
Yeah, and then Nick McLeod, who's, like, kind of been like he's like kind of our 3rd, 4th string safety, kind of played corner too. Sometimes we put him in nickel. He let off with that first Giant interception too. But Deonte Banks, I know he got beat by Jahan Dotson on a touchdown. I believe he also lit up that, No, because that was the only passing touchdown. Yeah, but that one passing touchdown to Jahan Dotson, he lit up. And then after the game, he went off on Instagram Live, trashing the Washington Commanders, which I don't really love. It's because he grew up in Maryland. He went to Maryland, and they passed on him for Emmanuel Forbes, who also looks like dog cheeks.
Interesting.
Well, and Deontay Banks has definitely played a little worse. They've been putting more on his plate. I feel like before they were kind of like allowing Adoree Jackson to take the lead and kind of giving him more favorable matchups. But I'm kind of cool with throwing him to the fire. He's definitely doesn't look as good as he did in the beginning of the season. But like, if he's going to be a first round corner and be what we project him to be, like let him cover Garrett Wilson the entire game. Let him, shadow Terry McLaurin for the majority of the game. Like I like seeing that.
There's only one way to learn, and that's to getting playing time. I think it's why a lot of teams, unless you have really, really special cornerbacks in their rookie year, like Patrick Surtain out of Alabama when he went to Denver, a lot of these guys struggle. And I think Surtain struggled a bit too his first year. I think he was pretty good though. But technique-wise, ability-wise, obviously quarterback is the most important position in the NFL. I'd say cornerback is probably the hardest to play. So if you're putting a rookie back there like Banks, you're going to have some growing pains. The way I would look at it, if I were Giants fans, rough game, good experience, still got a decent enough comfortable win. We'll move from there. We'll watch some tape. We'll look over. We'll improve there. You also went up against, Dotson, McLaurin. I know Samuel got kicked out during the game, but
with Cordell Flott, that was a good fight. Beautiful. Like honestly, everybody got pissed at Xavier McKinney, but like, I mean, that was the only way he was going to stop Sam Howell. Sam Howell was running like a truck, bro. But I would respect that defense. Like that showed our defense has not given up on this season at all, and that they're still fighting. Like they could have given up that touchdown, dude, and they did give it up. So they didn't know. They just kept fighting for it. It's good to see. I like seeing it. It's nice to see a good scrap between division rivals.
No doubt.
Even if we're both at the bottom of the barrel, it's good. It's good that these guys still care about their teams.
Absolutely.
But yeah. And ironically, I picked up Curtis Samuel as like a bench player just before. I was like, I feel like he's going to go off, and I'll just have him sitting here. Nope. One catch for 5 yards and a nice ejection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I'll look over. I thought DeVito statistically 18 for 26, 246, 3 touchdowns thrown. I think it depends on where you throw the touchdowns on the field, but still 3 touchdowns thrown.
Well, he threw a deep one to Darius.
Yeah.
The deep one to Darius was nice. Yep. And honestly, like he found Saquon, and that was so nice seeing like Saquon thrive as a receiver again, because that was one of the things coming out of college, and I feel like his rookie year, he was utilized a lot more out of the backfield. Last year, not as much. And like I want to see Saquon, especially if he wants to get paid like one of these tops. He's not running like he used to. Like he had those 2 really explosive runs. I think both of them went for like 30 plus yards in the second half. But like I think getting Saquon, especially with our, let's be honest, like unimpressive wide receiver core, Saquon should definitely be complimenting a lot more.
Yeah, it would be nice. He does have the talent in the backfield still, I think, at his age to catch the balls. I know the last few years he's been injured a bit, and when he comes back, I think they've been deterred from doing that because they don't want him to get hurt with that. I get that stuff too. They started that early on in his career after his first few injuries. I get that. I just think he'd add another dimension to that. I think any running back who can catch out of the backfield adds another dimension to that to any offense, and I think Saquon certainly would to an offense that needs a lot of different options if you're going to keep on playing DeVito.
Tommy DeVito, yeah.
Tommy DeVito.
Which, dude, I mean,
Danny is I can't imagine.
I just watched Matilda, dude. Trust me, Danny DeVito's always on my mind. But Tommy DeVito, 137.7 passer rating.
Yeah.
I think he was one of the highest fantasy quarterbacks this week. Dude, I'm glad. I'm happy for him that he had a good, like, pretty dominant win, too, with, like, no mistakes. Just for his – does this make him maybe a viable backup next year? He's going to have to string a few more of these performances to be – like the first 2 were, I think, everybody in the entire – sports world was like, this guy does not belong on an
Right.
NFL field.
I
But
mean,
he had an amazing game, so good for
he
him.
couldn't throw the ball down to beyond the line of scrimmage.
So that's where I respect Mike Kafka. Yes, it's a terrible Washington defense, but he took advantage of it and was able to turn Tommy DeVito into Danny DeVito in his prime.
Yeah, it's a. I think that kind of stat line is top 7 in the NFL. I would think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
think this week, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, on paper, put up a much better game than Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes did in the rain.
No doubt.
Against 2 much better defenses. But
True.
I think so. Let's get into the big takeaways. It's beautiful. Tommy DeVito had his moment. Still lives at his parents' house. Loves the chicken cutlets. Jersey juiced all over the place. But like, if you're a Giants fan, like, yeah, that's a beautiful moment, and we'll remember it forever. But like, let's look forward to the future. So Xavier McKinney is going to be a free agent in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
He's had some like really like childish quotes attacking Wink Martindale.
Yeah.
Obviously the quad injury last year. He had one of his best games of the season, though he didn't really put up any. Like, he had 12 tackles. He was just all over the field. Tackles for lost. Yeah, like he played probably his best game of the season. It's nice seeing that, especially the way he's kind of been saying that he's given up. He's definitely not playing like he's giving up. He played great. Bobby Okereke, another great game. 14 tackles. Forced 2 more fumbles this year. One of them was recovered. One was not. But I think, what does that put him at? Because he had the interception. He tipped up 2 interceptions. And he's forced, I think, 4 fumbles on the year. Like, he has been at the source of so many Giants turnovers. Mm-hmm. Like, as a linebacker, like, I love Bobby Okereke. I said it last week. I'll say it again. He's like, and he also elevates the play of Micah McFadden, who has been playing like a quality starter. Like,
yeah,
it's good to have exciting linebacker play, but that was our biggest weakness coming into this year, and I'd say it's one of our biggest strengths now. Mm-hmm. But Dexter Lawrence also had a dominant game. Even though he only had 1 sack, he had a number of quarterback hits and hurries, and all those interceptions were typically at the hands of Dexter Lawrence rushing Sam Howell.
He's the force.
He is the force. Like, he might, like, if he put up more sacks this year and was playing for a better Giants team, I feel like he would be in the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I don't even think it's necessarily the sacks. I think the NFL does a good job of finding players who do good work, who make good plays regardless of finishing, quote unquote, the sack. I think the sack itself is a bit of a fishy stat in a lot of cases.
Yeah, it's more the quarterback hurries.
I think it's a matter of, if the Giants were a winning team, he would definitely get more nods, assuming that they're winning a lot because of Dexter Lawrence, which I would assume there would be a correlation there. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the most exciting thing, especially because, I mean, I called it in the preview pod.
Mm-hmm.
Kayvon Thibodeau's going to have 2 sacks. You said he was a bust. You said he gets all of his sacks in the last garbage minute. That's not even true. Like, I actually watched all of his sacks, and I'm like, I remember he had some great sacks. He would pretty much put the game away against the Jets if we didn't screw it up.
But what'd you do against the Jets?
That was an offensive error. That was offensive. That was not.
I don't think he's a bust either. I think he's a good player that needs to play better to help this team win overall. And he did.
I'll tell you what, though. He now has 10.5 sacks in the season, like you said. That's but it is saying something, because no edge rusher in the Wink Martindale system has ever had 10 sacks in a season. He's done it in 11 games. 10.5 sacks. And
I'd love to. I mean,
last time we had double-digit sacks was Leonard Williams, and before that was Marcus Golden. Like, it's just exciting as a Giants fan. I know that it's like a glorified stat, but it does, like, especially when you get those sacks, like he did on Zach Wilson, like he did on Sam Howell in this game. They came in important moments. One of them came on a 3rd and long, I think, in the red zone, and another one was at a time of converting where they could have, moved the ball, maybe scored, and Kayvon came in clutch. So, which he typically does. Like, he comes in clutch at big moments.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, his best quality is getting to the quarterback, no doubt. good size, good speed for that I guess Wink didn't really have as much in Baltimore. But yeah,
Well, he had Matthew Judon. I mean, he had
that's true.
good edge
Towards the
rushers.
end, yeah. And then
Yeah.
he's been in New England for maybe what 3? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And Judon was good there too. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what to make of Thibodeau. I think he's a good player. I think that a lot of the stats early on were coming when they were down double digits or losing, and I think that that's okay. You can't really blame him for getting the sacks, but I just think as a whole, sacks don't really, like I said like 3 minutes ago, they don't really tell the whole story of a player or a play because pressures, like you said too, pressures make the difference. You'd rather have more pressures. You'd rather have a pressure that leads to an interception than a sack, a pressure that leads to a sack ultimately. Both are good, but obviously one's better. You also know that we saw last night with the grounding call with Mahomes. Josh Sweat didn't get a sack on that play, even though he probably should. So, like, it's just he's playing well. I want to see him play well and play well to win games for the Giants and win a lot of games per year. And so that's my take. But he has been playing well.
His evolution too, like, so all of last season, which he only played 14 games, but he had 13 quarterback hits. In 11 games, he has 13 quarterback hits, 10 tackles for loss as opposed to his 6 in 14 games.
Right.
And, like, that's the thing. The tackle for loss is coming in the run game too, which that was one of his big coming out of the draft.
He was pretty brutal last year against.
So it's good to see that grow, that he's playing well run. But I think that's enough on the Giants. Commanders, I think everybody was kind of in the Sam Howell, even though they lost. What, Broncos last week, was it? No, Seahawks. The Seahawks last week at the last minute. Sam Howell still had another great game. This game comes back down to earth. And again, he throws for 45 attempts. When I make the graphics every week, I use the old, I swear it's always 45 or 44. 45 or 44 attempts. Like, that's the enemy's game plan.
Yeah.
And where that might help him win games, with those interceptions this week, it helped him lose the games.
You said it well. They lost the game because of it, and you're going to lose a lot more throwing the ball. I've said it, I've broken record. You throw the ball 45 times a game, you're going to lose a lot of those games. So I get it. They still ran the ball good.
Well, no, I mean, Brian Robinson ran the ball well. And Chris Rodriguez, when he spelled him, Chris Rodriguez looks really good. And I feel like with Antonio Gibson out, I mean, I think this might be the last year of Antonio Gibson's contract too. I feel like they're probably moving on from him.
Right? They're done with him. He doesn't do much. When he's on the field, he fumbles the ball. But I don't think they're. I think he still has some versatility in the NFL, but he is not like he was out of Memphis, to say the least. So
definitely not a lead back moving forward.
Yeah, but like I think the final remarks on this game for me, Washington's not a good team. New York somehow matches up really well, regardless of who the quarterback is, which is interesting. I think maybe that's a testament to Wink's defense against them, just aggressiveness, I would say.
All right. We might have had some technical difficulties, so maybe we're going to cut this out. Maybe we're going to hop in right here. But, Jeremy, I think you were talking about how the Commanders are not that good. Continue.
Yeah, just the show obviously goes on. Washington's a bad team. They have some abilities, but losing both games to the Giants that they play, I don't know why the Giants particularly have their number. They're not a roster. They play good defense, but otherwise they're not a roster that like would scare me to score against me like Washington's offense can do at times. So it's weird that like they have their number. They've been awful against the Giants in both games, and they lose a lot of games. It's okay if you're Washington because this is you get another year of Hal next year, but there's just so much talent to like not be better. I don't know why I feel so strongly about this team, but I would expect them to win this game. by a good bit at home, and they lose pretty miserably.
Yeah, I will say, even without Montez Sweat and Chase Young, the Commanders did eat on defense in terms of sacks because they sacked Tommy DeVito, I believe, 7 times in the first quarter, and then only 2 more times the rest of the game, or it was 7 or 8. Because I don't think they sacked him once in the whole second half. Mm-hmm. But they had like 7 sacks. And our old friend David Mayo, former Giant, had 2 of those sacks. Deron Payne got in there. Jonathan Allen had a sack and a half. KJ Henry, even Jamin Davis. I mean, they were coming from all over the place. But even Brian Dable kind of alluded to that was kind of Tommy DeVito sacking himself, similar to what Sam Howell was doing earlier in the season. That was our game plan was, you know what, take the sack, but try and get the ball off and try to get those successful downfield throws. And it ended up working for us. But even though they got those 9 sacks, like Jack Del Rio, I think we've been saying this every week, like he is awful. Maybe they're just waiting to just fire the whole coaching staff and maybe keep the enemy. But I mean, Jack Del Rio, especially when he had Young and Sweat, like he's just like not operating. They have pieces. They have some promising pieces all throughout. I mean, even like Cameron Curl in the secondary, Benjamin St. Juste, like has his upsides as a cornerback, even though he's definitely not a complete cornerback. I think this is also sealing Ron Rivera's fate with like this loss against the Giants. Losing to the Giants twice with Tommy DeVito. I mean, and even Eric Bieniemy, who were like, you know, we kind of want to see him continue to grow with Sam Howell. I know some people are saying maybe they just give Eric Bieniemy a shot 1 year, let him kind of pick who he wants around him and let him kind of take the reins. But I feel like, wouldn't you almost want to do that now? Just get rid of Ron Rivera, get rid of Jack Del Rio, keep Eric Bieniemy, and see what he can do for the rest of the season?
The problem is for Bieniemy is that if you bring him in, he's going to have to play Hal next year because Hal ultimately deserves it. He's been a leading quarterback in throwing yards up until this point. I know they haven't had a bye and other teams have buys, but it still says something about Sam Howell that he's able to do that. I think if you're Bieniemy, you probably want your own quarterback. Every head coach wants their own guy that they want to draft, that they like, and develop themselves. But I think Howell's playing too good a football where you can do that. So if you do give the keys to Bieniemy next year, I would say give it to him for the rest of the year and see how he does. But it ensure him that next year you still have the job too. But if you don't and you bring him in next year, I think you're going to have to sign up for like 2 to 3 years of Bieniemy automatically, just because of, you know, you have to play Hal next year. You see how he does. If he plays well, you bring him back. If he's awful, maybe you go another quarterback. But then you go another quarterback, you have to give him a few years to develop. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think any Commanders fans, even though they're probably going to end up with a top 10 pick, I don't think anybody thinks the answer is drafting another quarterback. I think they need to build around. But there are a few. I mean, their O-line's also horrendous. I mean, like those 9 sacks too, they came from Tommy DeVito, and also the only productive player on our O-line was Andrew Thomas. But thank God. I mean, I remember Jonathan Allen just running by Justin Pugh and just like straight sack. But yeah, and especially getting rid of your edge rushers. Like, you need your edge rushers. We said it before. So I'm curious to see where these guys go in the draft, especially because where I thought that they would win a few more games, looking at their upcoming schedule, like they play the Cowboys on a short week, which also the Cowboys have a short week on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Always. And then the Dolphins, Rams, they could beat that. They could beat the Jets, then 49ers, and then they close the Cowboys, who are probably going to be competing for a playoff position at that point.
So in those 6 remaining games, how many wins do you have them getting?
Oh, man. Like I said, I mean, they could get 2, but I think Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be back for the Christmas Eve game.
Even if he's not, I think that's a game that Well,
I think the Jets defense will take advantage of Sam Howell and the Commanders' weaknesses.
Yeah, Jets are so bad though. Yeah, I see one win. Maybe the last
the Rams.
week. Yeah, no, minus Jets. The Rams is
yours is
LA. Stafford. I mean, they're still kind of okay-ish. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, but it's. I mean, I don't. There's no like. This is a hot Cowboys team still.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good transition. Anything else you want to say about this Giants Commanders game?
No, I'll move on to we'll move on to Cowboys.
All right, Cowboys Panthers. So the Cowboys go to Carolina and win 33-10. Although this game, it's a little deceiving because Cowboys were up 17-3 at half, and they didn't score the entire third quarter. Panthers go up, it's 17-10, and then the fourth quarter starts and everything goes to hell, and the Cowboys look like they ran away with it. But it was relatively close until everything fell apart. I think it was the Tony Pollard touchdown at the start of the fourth, and then Deron Bland making history with his fourth pick six, which was an athletic pick six. I don't know if you saw it. Like he did like a flip on the ground and then ran that in. Yeah, that was all within 10 seconds of each other too to start the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was first play, right?
Yeah. 30-yard interception to the house. Is Deron Bland Defensive Player of the Year running?
No.
Let
me tell you something about Deron Bland. When he plays good teams like Devontae Smith, I wish we could pull up the video. Jalen throws a 40-yard bomb back of the end zone, perfectly placed. Deron Bland, he's like this. He's running like that. Can't get him.
Devonta Smith is a speed demon.
No doubt, but
I think Deron Bland has more touchdowns than Devonta Smith.
I think they have the same.
Tied. All right, fair.
But yeah, I mean, what he's doing is impressive. I don't buy into it for ultimately the biggest picture of him for some reason. I mean, he's playing good football, but I think he sort of kind of has Thibodeau vibes. But I think Thibodeau's a better player, honestly. But he kind of has Thibodeau vibes where it's like,
number 5 pick versus 5th round. I mean, like that's just impressive. Yeah,
true. But he gets like pick 6, and we're like against bad teams. I don't think he's had a good pick 6 against a good team. Maybe I'm wrong. But
I know his first one was against the Giants week 1.
Right.
That was a big boy too. I think that was like definitely over 80 yards. So, but this game, like I said, I mean, the Cowboys ran away with it. I mean, they looked like they were going to dominate this entire game.
Yeah,
they're playing the Panthers. Bryce Young is just a mess. Like, cannot do anything.
His team is awful around him. It's just you're not helping him at all. Like, he's a rookie, so like he's going to have some growing pains rookie year, like everybody does. But like he doesn't have much talent around him. Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, who looks awful. He's unplayable.
Adam Thielen, though. Adam Thielen still got the juice, dude.
Veteran receiver, has a little bit of juice in him, but nothing special.
Yeah, I mean, you're not salivating over Adam Thielen and your
right. Steven Sullivan, Laviska Shenault.
Yeah, I like Laviska Shenault too. Coming out, but
Jonathan Mingo.
Jonathan Mingo, I was excited for too, but that interception, Jonathan Mingo should have came back for that. I mean, it looked like
rookie receiver, so we'll see going forward, but he's still a rookie now. And Tommy Tremble. I mean, it's just a silly, bad roster. Cowboys get a win, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're a team that beats up on really bad teams and then loses to good teams. So say what you will, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like what we predicted. And I think we probably predicted a similar score to this.
Probably something similar. I think we definitely would have. We took the 15
Cowboys by
15.5 line. Yeah.
So I mean, even if you look at the stat line, I mean, Dak, like comparatively to Tommy DeVito's stat line, this very unimpressive. 25 for 38, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns. The thing is, they got a lot of penalties their way too when I was watching this. Like between pass interferences, roughing the passer, unnecessary roughness, just like not. So like you're wondering how the hell did they get to 33 points? Well, you got the pick six, obviously, but like their offense, and you're looking at the stat lines, like it's just unimpressive. The leading receiver is Brandon Cooks with 42 yards, but regardless, I think what it was poor defense by Carolina, getting all those penalties, which are just moving the Cowboys down the field, and great defense by the Cowboys. I think the most interesting thing out of this game, which was essentially like a cakewalk for the Cowboys, even though they were only up 7 going into the fourth. Micah Parsons overdosed on C4. And I was watching the highlights, and you hear Greg Olsen or Kevin Burkhardt be like, it looks like he took rocket fuel before the game, the way he's moving around. And that's before they knew that he threw up twice from the C4. But he had 2.5 sacks. He had 2 sacks in the first quarter when he was still high on the C4, man. That should be illegal, dude.
Probably should be.
I think that's hilarious. I mean, listen, I know I've overdosed on some caffeine in my day by accident, as a caffeine to myself. I remember I had instant coffee at work, and I've never had instant coffee. They're like, yeah, you just mix it in with like the hot water from the sink. And I'm like, how many scoops? I just, I don't know. I want it to be strong because I want to wake up. And my coworker's like, yeah, just like fill it up that much. And I do that, and I'm like, man, I feel on top of the world. I feel like I could get 2 sacks on Bryce Young in the first quarter. And then I'm like going to the bathroom, and I'm trying to buckle my belt, and I'm like, what the hell's gotten into me? I can feel every hair on my head. I can feel every tooth in my mouth. Like it was, and then I showed, I'm like, hey, was this how much? And I showed somebody else, like, no, you did 4 times the amount. Like I mean, dude, scary stuff. But I'm not gonna lie, prior to me having like a caffeine fueled anxiety attack, feeling high out of my mind, I feel like I probably could have gotten 2 sacks on Bryce Young. Maybe.
I think that's probably the remedy to it.
Yeah, but that's hilarious, I think.
It's hard to comment on this kind of game because Carolina's just so bad.
Yeah.
They took care of business on the road.
And also, like, Frank Reich can't decide who his play caller is. I think this was back to him being the play caller, right?
It's hard to keep up with that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, it almost seems like the Frank Reich era is going to be over before it can even begin.
They should. It went viral a few days ago. They showed pictures of him being hired in Carolina, and then a picture of his hair like this.
Yeah, he's like aged.
More great, yeah. So that's what coaching that Carolina Panthers will do to you. Really bad team, just not much talent.
I feel like they just burn it down and trade Brian Burns too. Like,
I don't know why they didn't do. I mean, they're probably asking for a lot, which I'd get. I would too, but like,
I'd say a first round pick is worth it for Brian Burns.
Oh yeah, he's good.
Yeah, but the Cowboys got after not just Micah Parsons. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence got a sack, Sam Williams got a sack, Dorrance Armstrong. Yeah, it was. I mean, they got to the quarterback, and
it's one of those fun days for them.
Oh, and Tony Pollard scores his first touchdown since week 1 against the
ground.
First touchdown since week 1 against the Giants. So good for him. He's still. I mean, like, for somebody who's either gonna, he's also going to a contract here. I feel like he really hasn't proved enough for me to be.
Oh yeah.
Like this season has been very disappointing, especially with all the Tony Pollard hype.
Yeah, he's been bad. I mean, I didn't know how great he'd be. I didn't think he'd be this awful. I didn't know.
I mean, it's not like he's even bad. He's not a super. I wouldn't put him in like the top 10 running back category whatsoever.
I don't think that's even top.
And he's trying to get paid like that. Like I don't think he's worth another franchise tag, even if you want to just like keep him on. Like I feel like you can move on. Like Rico Dowdle put up a pretty poor stat line, 2.9 yards per carry.
He's had some abilities this year.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching the highlights. Like Tony Pollard had some explosive runs. That touchdown run was a powerful explosive run too. But just looking forward, I feel like Tony Pollard, you're not handcuffed to Tony Pollard moving forward. Like you can draft another quarterback or running back the second or third round next year and probably be just as well off.
Oh yeah. Before we go on to the Eagles, I think we're pretty much done with this game.
Yeah.
Just to talk about like top 10, top 15, I'll mention all these running backs. You tell me stop when I get to a running back that you'd rather have. You'd have Tony Pollard over than this one.
All right, let's do it.
Christian McCaffrey.
Obviously not, yeah. Okay.
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs has been but I would probably take Josh Jacobs just because of the style of running that he has. Especially behind the Dallas line would be way more impressive.
Nick Chubb.
Yeah. I would still. I mean, Nick Chubb's arguably one of the best runners in the NFL.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, he's
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. Even the aging Derrick Henry, I would still want Derrick Henry.
Yes, definitely.
And also, too, the Titans O-line is awful. So, like, you can say anything you want about.
Right. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson, assuming he played. Right.
Yeah. Because I think they won't give him the Arthur Smith treatment.
Right. Saquon Barkley.
Still Saquon easy, dude. Saquon.
Joe Mixon.
Everything about it. Ooh. I feel like that's like a tough one. And I feel like because of the sake of this exercise, there might be Cowboys fans that disagree with me, but like Joe Mixon, I feel like has had a more impressive year against a worse offensive line.
Yes. Okay.
So I would take Joe Mixon. Yeah.
Got it. Yep. Same. Breece Hall.
Yeah. Breece Hall. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. DeAndre Swift.
I really like DeAndre Swift. I'd take DeAndre Swift over Tony Pollard right now.
Okay.
Jahmyr Gibbs, you can throw him in there.
Jahmyr Gibbs, that was going to be one of my next ones.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker is fluky, dude, but I really like Kenneth Walker. Like I'd rather have Kenneth Walker over Tony Pollard too. Yeah.
Travis Etienne.
Yes, I feel like Travis Etienne is the better version of Tony Pollard. Yeah, like
I feel we could do even more names. That's probably around 15. That just shows you how like Pollard's like just dipped this year.
Yeah,
I don't even say gleefully because like I thought he's been nice the last few years with the role he had, but my gosh. Yeah. With being the guy at Dallas, it just does not look that way.
Yeah, no, I think Cowboys fans would agree. Well, maybe they wouldn't, but if you put up like one of those blind tests, I feel like they'd probably agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's it. Brandon Cooks was the leading receiver, good for him, but put up like wide receiver 4 stat line. But I guess that kind of just shows the way they're going. I think Brandon Cooks is their number 2 guy.
Yes. Maybe
tied with Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson is definitely up there in their rotation. But let's go to the game of the year, the rematch, the Kelsey Bowl.
Yes.
The maybe Travis Kelsey needed Taylor Swift game. The Eagles go to Arrowhead and win 21-17. Jeremy, I will let you take this away.
Well, it's just a great day. It's always a great day in Philadelphia. It's always sunny in Philadelphia. It's raining today, but just a great game. The Eagles didn't show up the first half. Everything looked awful. The offensive line looked bad. Coaching was bad. Jalen Hurts couldn't pick up a blitz. Jalen Hurts couldn't throw it beyond the line of scrimmage. Couldn't run the ball. And then they made adjustments. The defense didn't look good in the first half. And then they made adjustments. The defense shuts it down in the second half. Third game in a row, by the way, the Chiefs has not scored in the second half, which is odd. And, Eagles had – I think the difference in the game is the Eagles had forced 2 turnovers in the red zone and interception in the end zone. Kevin Byard.
First one as an Eagle. That I'm not going to lie. That looked –
first time apparently touching the football all year, too, apparently.
Really?
Yes.
No pass deflections or anything?
No pass deflections or interceptions, forced fumbles or jumped on fumbles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, They're also their new signee, Bradley Roby for the slot, forced a turnover, a fumble on Travis Kelce. Miserable turnover for Kelce. That just can't, that just can't happen. But I'll
do you blame the rain a little bit? Then I feel like
no doubt. There's definitely a reason. Someone wasn't in his box that needed to be there too, and I think that might have played a reason.
Yeah. You always want a Swift in your box, man.
No doubt.
All right.
And the Eagles just offensively, the Eagles picked it up in the second half. It wasn't pretty in the second half, but they still stuck with some things. Moved the ball. Great deep ball to Devontae at the 1 yard line. Push worked both times.
Yep.
And the Eagles quietly shut out the Chiefs in the third quarter. Like, people weren't even focused on that. People were focused on the Eagles getting back in the game. I was noticing, like, Jesus, that's another 3 and out. Oh, yeah. So
there was a lot of 3 and outs. Yeah,
there were. Yeah, it made it kind of, from a geeky, nerdy football fan standpoint, fun because it's kind of like a game of chess. Move some pieces here, they defend. Move some pieces there, punt, etc. Whatever. Great. Just a great win for the Eagles. It's a big one. They beat a good team, really good team, something that, they were tested coming off the bye. Both them and the Chiefs were coming off a bye. Andy Reid historically is amazing after the bye week. He always wins. And it's a gritty performance from a team that wasn't perfect for the first 30 minutes. Not only wasn't perfect, looked awful. Yeah. And changed up the game. You only have to win by 1 point in the NFL. And you keep on getting stops like that, which they did. Move the ball enough, you'll steal some games, and it feels like a good win for the Eagles, but it also feels like they stole the win, which also in a way feels good too. It's good to win like those kind of ways. So
yeah, I mean, like you said, like you guys, you had the early interception with Kevin Byard, and then the late game, like you guys played gritty. And like you said, the Chiefs didn't score in the second half. Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 43 times and only ended up with 177 yards. Like, that's crazy. You think Patrick Mahomes throws the ball 43 times, he's hitting 300 yards.
Yeah, at least 275. Yep.
Yeah. And Patrick's still a beast with his legs. Kadarius Toney, who hasn't done anything for the Chiefs all year, they decide to bring him back because he played great in the Super Bowl against the Eagles.
He kills us. He kills us in special teams.
Yeah,
this guy lives for the moment,
dude. And I think there was one punt return where he got tackled as catching the ball, but that's not really his fault. That's just good special teams for the Eagles. But dude,
punt returns,
so fun to I know that when we traded him, I was sad, but I was also like, whatever, good riddance. He's a punk, but dude, he's just so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch as a little joystick, and he had a lot of good He had a couple of runs. He had that nice reverse run.
He was on that Kyle Pitts Florida team. Those two were a nice little
1-2
team. Yeah, 1-2. He hasn't figured it out, I think, receiving wise in the NFL.
Yeah, his hands a bit rough.
He has some abilities, but not anywhere close to consistent enough. But special teams wise, he has found a little home, at least whenever he plays the team in Midnight Green. He does a good job returning. So Rick Covey on the Eagles also had some very good punt returns.
He did, yeah.
Which is nice. It helps his team. And DeAndre Swift was awesome. He had a great game. Finally, it's been a while since they've been able to get him going. It's nice to see him getting going after the bye week. Mm-hmm. Strong performance. A.J. Brown, 1 catch, 8 yards.
Devontae that was the surprising thing. But he missed a couple. Yeah. It wasn't like they weren't trying. I mean, I feel like he at least had 5 targets and some. There was that one where he was overthrown or underthrown, where it would have been a touchdown. He had so much separation.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the interception. Yeah.
He changed the route on that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a quarterback and you're being paid $250 million, you should kind of see ahead of time because AJ tried to wave the hand too.
Yeah.
You should probably see that ahead of time. I get that it's tough because he's changing the route, but let's
he's getting rushed.
It's a touchdown.
Yeah.
But alas, Yeah, it's a strong win for Philly. It gives them a lot to work with going forward, no doubt. With the Chiefs, Mahomes is still silly. He's still unbelievable. Right? They don't have much talent around him. I like.
They lead the league in drops. I think they have eight drops, dude. I don't know why he loves this Justin Watson guy. I saw Justin Watson drop the ball like 3 times, and he's not that impressive. Like he was the ball to Rashee Rice. Where is Sky Moore? Sky Moore, I feel like wasn't featured at all the whole game.
I don't think they know how to use him. I don't know if he's really a true receiver either. But I think in terms of Kelsey, very good, obviously. Rashee Rice, also good. Pacheco, and running the ball, good. Otherwise, there's just not much around him. I know Watson has some abilities, but he also drops a lot of passes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, he's not that special to keep force feeding him the ball.
Yeah,
especially with these drops. I get it; it's raining, but like
Marquez Scantling had a miserable drop.
The perfect ball to win the game, dude.
Yeah,
you have to say.
I think it's a few inches too forward, but at the same time, it's like
hit him in the hands.
Man. Like, if you're diving for the ball, I think no. Don't get me wrong. He should have caught it. He definitely should have caught it. I think there's some times where it's like, yes, it hits him in the hands, but when they're diving for it, and like there's sometimes where it's like, geez, that's a tough ball to catch. That should have been caught. No doubt about it. You gotta get a little lucky in the NFL. I'll admit it firsthand. I think they played strong enough to deserve the win too for the Eagles. So you get rewarded when you play good football, and hopefully you get rewarded when you play good football and the other team makes mistakes. Kansas City certainly made mistakes. I feel like the Eagles have made mistakes a lot this year too, and they've paid for it. Specifically against the Jets, I feel like a lot of times the Eagles have won and the other team just hasn't made that many mistakes. The Eagles were just enough better than the other team. So it's nice to finally see a game where like they can take advantage of another team's mistakes. And a team like Kansas City, who was really good in my opinion, it feels good at least. So
yeah. How do you feel? I feel like Chris Jones dominated Landon Dickerson.
Yes, he was great. He was great. I think not to interrupt, but get out there with a win on Monday night in Kansas City. Go over tape.
Hey, congrats, man.
It's not even just that. He's one of those players where it's just like, just win and go over tape, try to improve, or maybe even throw it out and be like, we're not playing Chris Jones again all year, unless. But I don't see Kansas City going to Super Bowl this year. But he's 95 is a great player. He's something. So I was glad that he had a very good game, but he didn't have enough of an impact ultimately in a turnover. He almost did. He almost on a screen he blew by Lane, even though Lane wasn't supposed to block him, and then Kenny Gainwell didn't pick him up, and could have been ugly. Great game for Chris Jones. Phenomenal game for him. Just glad we got out there with a win. No doubt it would be nice to, because they play guys like Aaron Donald brilliantly too. Every time they played Aaron Donald, he hasn't had like that good of a game. So we'll see.
And Dexter Lawrence too. I know when he plays Jason Kelsey, but I'm wondering if maybe Jason Kelsey has gotten the better of Dexter Lawrence.
Yes.
All of their
Kelsey had some good run blocks too.
Dude, look at him, real fun marching down the field there, dude.
He's just so fast at his size and his age. It's wild. So glad he's having fun out there. Mm-hmm. Glad the Eagles stuck to the run decently enough, and I'm glad they had some big plays with Swift, because otherwise it looked a little gloomy.
Yeah, another stat-wise, I feel like another relatively quiet day. I mean, Hassan Reddick had that one sack, an awesome sack, and I think forced a 3-and-out to start the game, right? I believe that was.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, it just Hassan Reddick, man, just
he's good. He made some plays at the line of scrimmage too against the run, which were nice. Mm-hmm. Sweat had the grounding at the end, which doesn't technically count as a sack. big play. And then Kansas City, instead of taking a 10-second runoff, took a timeout.
Yeah.
What was odd, because if you just take the 10-second run, does the clock then start after I don't know.
No, it does. It does.
Oh, it does. Okay. So it definitely made sense for them to call time.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah, they this Eagles team, I mean, the defensive line's been pretty good all year in terms of pressure. Sacks haven't exactly been there, but when you need them to be in the fourth quarter, they come alive. I've said before, when Josh Sweat is on, he looks like a top 3 defensive end.
Yeah, he looked good today.
I just need to see him more, like his speed and stuff. He looks unstoppable. I just need to see more of that and earlier on, and not just with Sweat, everybody else. It didn't help that I thought that Kansas City held the entire first half on their offensive line with Thuney, Smith, and who was their one tackle? I forget. But I thought they held the entire first half and into the second. But alas, yeah.
Well, Jalen Carter's attempted intercepted spike was awesome, dude.
I didn't see that at real time, and I saw it during halftime. I go, oh my God, that's kind of a brilliant play.
Dude. I want to see him pull that off, man. He was smooth with it, dude. He slid right under. I mean, I guess the rain helped him with the slide, dude. But
maybe. I bet with another team and another quarterback, he might have been able to pull it off. Everything with Mahomes, so even the casual stuff that he might not be thinking of, he still gives it a little extra, like, power. Where it's like, I mean, everything about Mahomes is just wildly impressive. He had some darts at the end of the game to keep them alive, too, on the sideline that were just, like, impressive. He's tough to beat.
Yeah. I feel like you guys did kind of get the best of him.
Yeah, it was nice, actually. I thought so, too. Yeah.
Well, one note, too, just like, I mean, like, this has been ongoing throughout the whole year, but, like, Jalen Hurts, like, is still very much hurt. Like, you think is that going to get better? Like, you guys already had your bye week. Like, I feel like he's going to struggle with that all the way up to the Super Bowl if you guys make it.
Probably. I think that
because his running has just been like watching him this game. I feel like when he did take off, like, he just hesitant and slid early.
Yeah, I think that that's always going to be around at least for the rest of this year, like other players too, around the league. But I think the bye helped a lot. It sounded with Philadelphia sports reporting that the bye helped him a lot. I don't think if he did wear a knee brace last night, it was a much, much, much smaller one. Mm-hmm. I also don't mind if he wears a knee brace, even if he's not on paper. Like, I get why you would do that, but I think he's going to be a little hurt throughout the rest of the year, no doubt.
Yeah, well, it just like that was one of the reasons why Jalen Hurts was MVP candidate last year, is because he was great in the air and he was great on the ground.
With the feet,
so taking that away from him, like, I mean, he got 2 rushing touchdowns. One of them was a tush push. They weren't both tush pushes. One of them he scrambled. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess one of them he did kind of true.
How many successful tush pushes or brotherly shoves did the Eagles have against the Chiefs in last year's Super Bowl? They said it like 7 times in the broadcast. That's why I figured it.
I'm over 7 that I forget.
6. It was 6.
6.
That's a lot of but I think you guys had at least 3 or 4 in this game. I mean, like,
no doubt there were a few.
You had that Devonta Smith catch to the 1-yard line that was been brought in.
With the game-winning tush, the Godfather did not impact this game. Unfortunately, last year's Super Bowl is officially under protest.
Yeah, thank the sad lords.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, all right. Anything else you want to get into before we start previewing? I mean, congrats on your Super Bowl. Literally, this is your Super Bowl. This is last year's Super Bowl back here. This is your Super Bowl.
I would have killed. I would listen. I would have. I'd rather have last year's game against the Chiefs over this year's, of course. But feels good. It's a great win for the team, no doubt.
All right, so let's get into the first game of next week, which is the annual Cowboys Thanksgiving Classic. Last year, I had the pleasure of watching the Giants lose to the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, which did not ruin my holiday that much. But now we get to watch the Washington Commanders go to Dallas for the 4:30 Eastern time game.
Right.
Thanksgiving. Jeremy.
Yeah.
I think Deron Bland gets another pick six.
I like that. That's a good prediction.
I feel like he's hunting for it. I think that Sam Howell has shown that, like, with at least like that Darnay Holmes interception last game, like the duck to Isaiah Simmons, like that was, that was him hope and a prayer. Probably shouldn't have done it with a game-winning drive on the line.
Yeah.
But the Nick McLeod was an overthrow, essentially threw the route to Nick McLeod. But the Darnay Holmes, like he undercut it, kind of similar to how Deron Bland has been getting his interceptions this year. So I could see at least a Deron Bland interception and maybe a pick six.
I'll go CeeDee Lamb over 150 yards receiving.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the safest.
Yeah, 150 is a big number.
Yeah, I mean, that's safe, but against this Commanders defense, yeah.
It's weird because I want to give Dak like over 325 throwing yards. I don't know who else kind of. I mean, I guess CD
Cooks
has an impact. Ferguson would have an impact.
Yeah, Gallup.
I'll try to go a little more. I'll try to go a little more bold and say Dak over 350 passing yards.
Oh yeah! Whoa, dude. That's the fuel more of that Dak for MVP conversation. So
yeah, well, I'll make sure to sizzle out that fire.
Yeah, I think that Micah Parsons will only have one scoop of C4, but the Commanders' O-line will be so bad he'll still have over 2.5 sacks, 2.5 minimum.
I have Dallas 30, Washington 22.
22, okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I want to see the Commanders put up a good fight. I mean, this is a Thanksgiving game. Like, everybody's going to be watching. We don't want to see any blowouts on Thanksgiving.
Right.
And who knows? Maybe the Commanders the Commanders fought hard against the Eagles both times. Maybe they play up to this competition. It just, from what we're like, between CeeDee Lamb and the Dallas defense against a poor offensive line and a very sackable Sam Howell, even though he hasn't improved on that. I feel like this is going to be like I'm going to probably go like 35-17.
Okay. It's a good number.
I feel like it's going to be – I hope the blowout is a slow one like it was in the
Dallas game, also plays up to awful competition too, which is something to note.
No, well, they didn't do it to the Panthers. I mean, they've been smoking the bad teams, like
right?
The Giants and the
Jets
and the Patriots. Yeah. So I don't know. Aside from the Cardinals, but yeah. The next game is going to be the Giants, I believe, because I think we have a Sunday game. Do you guys have a Sunday game too?
Yes. Sunday afternoon. You guys are at 1:00 on Sunday.
All right, so you're right. Oh, yeah, that's a good game too. So the Patriots will be coming to MetLife for the 1:00 game on Sunday. And this is one of those games that you want the Giants to competitively lose in, especially because the Patriots are terrible. If we play poorly against the Patriots, it's going to put another sour taste in our mouth. But let's be real for the tankers. So let's all the Giants fans, we are in tank mode. Like, do we want to see Tommy DeVito have some fun and talk about it, living in his parents' house, throwing a couple touchdowns, actually throwing the ball so we can have watchable football? Yes. But the Patriots right now, I think, are in third. We dropped from 2 to 5. If we lose to the Patriots, I believe we hop into that 3 range. With the Patriots being themselves 2-8. So if we lose, they'd be 3-8 and we'd be 3-9. So we'd have the worst record. We would jump them. So I don't know. I think Matthew Judon's going to be back for this game. So hopefully he eats against our poor O-line.
Mm-hmm.
But the Patriots defense has not been the dominant Patriots defense. Bill Belichick does destroy rookie quarterbacks, and Tommy DeVito is as green as it gets in terms of a rookie quarterback. So I think that Bill Belichick does get the best of Tommy DeVito. I don't think he's going to have another 137 passing rating. I'm going to go Patriots 21, Giants 17.
Okay. I don't know who's going to win this. Both teams are just so bad. You can make a case for either that gets the win. I'd really want to say the Giants, honestly, because I think
we will too.
I think New England is just a shambles team. The point about Belichick eating off a rookie quarterback / pizza delivery quarterbacks is a good one.
Hey, he's not a pizza delivery. This guy works at a nice Italian restaurant
in North Jersey. Yeah. I think the Giants win. I think the win.
Dude, I predicted that because I want to lose to the draft pick, but
New England's a mess.
I know.
But the Giants also.
If we lose, I want it to be some fluky thing, like a pick six at the end, and we dominate the whole game. That's living in an ideal world, but I don't know if that's possible.
Either 13-10 Giants or 16-13 Giants.
Okay.
It's not pretty. Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if we know yet if it's going to be Mac Jones. It's been an hour. Yeah, still hasn't named the quarterback. I feel like you got to. I don't know. Mac Jones has been pretty awful. It's it's not looking pretty. So, but Bailey Zappi also didn't look good, but he came in at the end there. I mean, I don't see much coming from this game. I think regardless, I feel like both these Patriots quarterbacks are interception prone. We have been killing it in the turnover game.
Yeah.
Even versus the Cowboys, we had 2 interceptions. I think that the Giants continue that streak, and I feel like we have 2 turnovers forced on our defense this week, at least.
I was going to say something similar. I think the bold prediction will be combined, there will be at least 6 turnovers between both teams.
I can see it happen. Although the Giants have been last week we had 0 turnovers. So
it could be all 6 on New England.
It could be. I also want to see. I want to see Kayvon keep dominating, especially in a game.
Yeah.
Like this. So
the punters will be used often. That's a.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a game I have a little bit more excitement coming off that win. It's just more so that I was able to watch watchable Giants football. That's all I want. I don't care. I want to lose.
In a tough situation.
If we have to win, what? Dude, this draft is stacked. So yeah, do I want Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison? Yes, but like I said, sometimes you move down and you end up dodging Bryce Young and you get C.J. Stroud, and everybody's mad at you because you won that last game. But
right.
So Giants fans, just take it, okay? We're gonna be fine. I think. Just take a win when you get them, especially a beautiful, dominant Tommy DeVito performance. But I think that's enough on that game. Let's go to, I would say, definitely, probably one of the better games again this week. The Buffalo Bills traveled to Philadelphia for the 4:25 game on Sunday. Buffalo Bills have been struggling. They looked pretty dominant against the Jets last week, though.
Desperate team.
Yeah, looked very dominant against the Jets, but after losing to the Broncos and the Bengals and barely beating the Bucs, and losing to the Patriots, like this Bills team, and they almost lost to the Giants. Like the Bills don't look as dominant as they once did.
Yeah.
But they did just fire Ken Dorsey.
Right.
So fire the offensive coordinator, which I think helped maybe against that Jets team. I think this is going to still be a good battle. And I think that the Bills defense will kind of bring it to. I think this is going to be a game close. There's going to be good offense and bad offense on both sides, I feel. I feel like the defense will get the better of them. I'm going to go 24-21 Eagles. I have to keep going. Like the Eagles are winning these games regardless. Like I would be a fool not to pick the Eagles. So I got Eagles 24-21.
I have Eagles 31-23. 8-point game.
8-point game. All right. 1-score game.
Bold prediction.
Yeah.
Eagles will have at least 2 interceptions, which I consider bold because I don't remember the last time they've ever done that. And another bold prediction will be
Julio Jones gets his first touchdown, or did he?
He got one against Washington.
I'll
say Julio Jones finds the end zone
again. Okay,
yeah.
I like that. Let's see. I'm gonna go. I think that. I'm trying to think about this. I think that Rasul Douglas gets an interception for the Bills.
Oh,
Rasul Douglas has been very underrated.
Who drafted him?
Was it the Eagles?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember Rasul Douglas on the Eagles, and then he had a little bit of time in the Falcons, and then he went off with the Packers.
Yes.
Yeah. So you know what? Revenge game, Rasul Douglas. I'm gonna say an interception, but like I said, I think the Eagles are gonna win. I'm gonna go. I think this is a Devonta Smith game, to be honest, especially after that last one. I think Devonta Smith breaks 100 and also goes for a score.
Devonta Smith breaks 100 and gets okay.
Yeah, 100 score.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah, we got a good week.
Was close last night on that kind of prediction. Missed the yards by 1 and missed the score by 1. So.
Yeah, guess what, dude? I had Patrick Mahomes. It was a tie fantasy game. This has officially knocked me off of the fantasy playoffs, which is so sad. It was Patrick Mahomes. It was a tie game. Patrick Mahomes versus Devonta Smith and Rashee Rice. And it was going up and down. Oh, you're going to win by 60%. And then finally, it's like,
unreal.
Yeah, yep. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It Jalen hurts. But another good week. We got, still some interesting football. We got the Giants and Patriots, 2 bad teams. Don't know what's going to happen there. Bills, Eagles, perennial. I think both of those teams were Super Bowl favorites for a majority of pundits going in. Even though the Bills underperformed.
Not wrong about that, yeah.
And, Thanksgiving football with the Commanders, Cowboys. Maybe the Commanders get a little Thanksgiving magic.
Would be nice.
It would be really nice. I want to see some good football. And it's, I think everybody in the entire – if you're not a Cowboys fan –
you hate them.
You hate them. But, hey, respect Cowboys. You guys just had 2 dominant wins in a row. So we'll see what goes on. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for dealing with the technical difficulties. And we will see you next week for Week 12 review and Week 13 preview. As always, on Thanksgiving, be safe. Only have a little bit of that Jersey juice because that'll make you go off for 3 touchdowns. So, and avoid the C4 too. So
no C4 Jersey juice or too much.
You can't mix those together, man. No. You're gonna end up with 3 touchdowns and 2 sacks, and your heart might explode. So, all right, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching. Peace.